What's up, everyone? How was your weekend? Mine was restful. After what was a crazy week last week, played a little Warzone with my friends, made an amazing breakfast on Sunday, and of course, we watched some football, so let's talk about that. And no, I didn't get a haircut. There were some big matchups this weekend in the Premier League, and some big, strange calls as well, so let's start there. First, we had Brighton taking on West Brom, a match in which the team in the thick of a relegation fight, West Brom, got the win against the team that, based on their general play, shouldn't be there really. But based on their finishing, find themselves just keeping their heads above water. Not only is their finishing poor, but they're seemingly cursed. They have a bit of bad luck as well. So in this match, they were awarded two penalties. One in the 18th that Pascal Gross smacked off the post, and one in the 75th that Danny Welbeck hit well struck off of the post. This, considering West Brom scored early, would be enough for this match to be considered an unlucky one, right? But then there's also what transpired in the 28th minute when Brighton had a free kick at the edge of the box. Lee Mason, the referee, blew his whistle, and so Lewis Dunk struck the ball. In doing so, Mason whistled a second time as the ball was going into the goal. Why did he do so? Because West Brom were still setting up their wall, I would have to assume. I guess that would be his reasoning, but he shouldn't have blown his whistle in the first place. Initially, Mason said it wasn't a goal, then he declared it was indeed a goal, and then he reviewed it on the monitor and said it wasn't a goal. I think the harsh aspect from Brighton's point of view would be that he blew the whistle to play, and then they struck the ball straight in, and then he realized his mistake half a second later and whistled again. Very unlucky. A match to forget for Brighton overall. Manchester City played against Red Hot West Ham this weekend, and Red Hot West Ham, they managed to score a Premier League goal at the Etihad. The first team to do so in over 2 months, since West Brom did so on December 15th, something about the West team scoring goals at the Etihad. And while the City defenders of Ruben and Stones may have finally conceded, they also won the match in a more direct fashion for City. Ruben scored his first goal for City, and John Stones scored his fourth in the Premier League. That's 5 goals between them, which is actually more goals than they have conceded. In the 16 matches they have started together, they've scored more than they have conceded between the two of them. That's insane. They've conceded just 3 goals. Aston Villa picked up their 3rd win in their last 6 matches as they continue to deal with the massive absence that is Jack Grealish. They took on Leeds, playing well in transition and being quite economical with the chances they had, coming out 1-0 winners thanks to Anwar El Ghazi's 5th minute goal. Arsenal put in one of the better performances I've seen from them in a long time, really. After going a goal down early away to Leicester, they fought back well, with David Luiz converting from a corner and Lacazette converting a penalty after a moment of madness from Ndidi. Don't know what he was trying to do there, but that's going to be a penalty every time. The referee looked at it literally once and then ran off to point to the spot. In the second half, Arsenal continued to control the game well. Good stuff from Partey and Pepe, let alone the goal from Pepe to make it 3-1. Away win to Leicester, that's more like it. We'll see if they can stay consistent as well, because we all know that's not exactly a guarantee with this iteration of Arsenal. Tottenham dominated Burnley, who after going on such a great run, strung 2 losses in a row together, coming into this meeting at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham looked good as they built once again from another dominant performance over poor Wolfsberger, the Austrian, I won't say minnows, but mid-table side. Anyway, Bale started this one as he begins to make more and more appearances and he begins to have better and better performances. He scored just 2 minutes in, and again in the 55th minute. What a beauty that one was, both of which were set up by Son. Bale himself also set up Harry Kane's goal, and with Lucas Moura also scoring, 4-0 was the final as Spurs eased into this match and eased out of it as well. A goal early, and then they eased out. Chelsea versus Manchester United wasn't great, 0-0 there, as Thomas Tuchel continues his unbeaten record since becoming the Chelsea manager. And based on Chelsea's second half performance, perhaps they deserved more from this match. Then again, United will feel hard done by as they didn't get a penalty. But yeah, they probably should have had a penalty. I mean, it hits Hudson-Odoi's hand first, since that happened first, it negates what follows, no? I mean, for consistency's sake at least, as that's how they have been calling them all season, because otherwise it would be a harsh handball to give. But I honestly don't know what the handball rule is anymore. The handball rule is not really a rule, it's more a handball guideline. I don't know. They should just call it the handball guidelines now, because the referees seem to sort of do whatever they want with it. And that basically throws consistency out the window. Anyways, Liverpool snapped their poor run with a win against poor Sheffield United, as Aaron Ramsdale had to come up big on plenty of occasions, but he couldn't stop Curtis Jones' superb finish from an Alexander-Arnold cutback that just stayed in play by a matter of inches, and a Roberto Firmino strike was deflected in and counted as an own goal. Bit weird, as I thought it was headed toward the goal anyway, but hey man, handball and own goal rules, don't understand them sometimes. I need a different angle, I guess, to see if it really was going wide. But beyond that, it was a relief for Liverpool to get that victory after 4 losses in a row in the Premier League. So crazy to say that, man. What a horrendous run they were on. But that win puts Liverpool in 6th place for the time being, assuming Everton don't win either of their games in hand. And City's lead has been extended to 12 points, by the way. Chelsea doing them a big favor by pulling 2 points away from Man United. The gap is growing. In Spain now, as Barcelona were inspired to a massive victory over Sevilla by their talisman, Lionel Messi. Sevilla suddenly with 2 losses from their last 3 matches now, as it feels like that Dortmund match may have left them a bit shaken. Not to mention the injuries they've picked up to important players like Lucas Ocampos and Marcos Acuna, 2 big names off of their team sheet. Lionel Messi set up Ousmane Dembele half an hour into this game, a game in which Sevilla really didn't generate any chances of note really. Maybe that's down to Koeman changing the shape of Barcelona a bit. But they were also fouling across the park. 20 fouls, 5 yellows for them, even a yellow for Lopetegui. Late on, their frustrations would have grown further, as in the 85th minute, Lionel Messi scored what was ultimately an untidy goal born of poor defending to make it 2-0 to Barca. It did come at a cost, as Umtiti went off injured yet again, so we wish him well. Hopefully it will be a speedy recovery this time. Getafe versus Valencia, the battle of the underperforming clubs, and Bordalás and Getafe came out on the other side of this one as the big winners. Last week, we were talking about how their form and results had put them dangerously close to the relegation zone, though ultimately it felt as if they would probably survive another season. And this week, maybe it's just because they were up against Valencia, or maybe they are turning their form around, but 3-0 over Javi Gracia's Valencia is a lovely result for Getafe. Atletico Madrid got a 2-0 victory over Villarreal, a massively struggling Villarreal these days. And while Atletico looked good in the first half, Stefan Savic had his header turned into the Villarreal goal by Alfonso Pedraza to give them a 1-0 lead at the break. Things really cooled off in the second half though. Despite it cooling off, João Felix came onto the pitch and scored a great goal from the edge of the box, chesting it down and volleying it before the ball hit the ground. Bit of an angry celebration afterward. So 2-0 there for Atletico, who get their first win since beating Granada 2 weeks ago. They ensure they have, at the minimum, a 3-point lead over Real Madrid, who are yet to play. They play today, actually, up against Real Sociedad. Bayern Munich slapped up Köln 5-1. And I mean, there's no surprise there. Bayern seem to be building in form. We'll have to wait and see if they are well and truly back after those questionable results from a couple of weeks ago, but they handed Köln a massive L. But like I said, we gotta wait to say if they are well and truly back, because this is a Köln side that has lost 4 of their last 5 matches across all competitions, including in the Pokal via shootout against mid-table Bundesliga 2 side Jan Regensburg. But hey, shout out Leon Goretzka for his 3 assists on the day. Gnabry and Lewandowski with a brace, and Choupo-Moting with the opener. Also Thomas Müller returning, getting that assist after a few seconds, it felt like. Werder Bremen were the unlikely heroes of the weekend to teams such as Borussia Dortmund, as they managed to stop the streak and beat Eintracht Frankfurt 2-1. After the dynamic duo Philip Kostic and Andre Silva linked up to put Eintracht Frankfurt ahead after just 9 minutes. Wow, on their way. Until, of course, the second half collapse, in which Werder leveled after just 2 minutes into the second half in the 47th, and they took the lead through Josh Sargent in the 62nd minute. Massive win for them. Very, very disappointing for Frankfurt. Borussia Dortmund got a great win over Arminia Bielefeld, winning 3-0 at home. Jadon Sancho, he was running riot again, as his form in the new year has just been superb. He got a goal and an assist and was an absolute nuisance all match for Bielefeld. In his last 8 matches, Sancho has scored 5 goals and racked up 5 assists as well. Back to his best after that what would ultimately be a very unsettling off-season for him, with all the constant, negotiations between United and Dortmund. Wolfsburg do not stop. Another match, another clean sheet, and another win. The best defense in the league defeated one of the worst defenses in the league at Hertha Berlin, as goals from Wolfsburg's Max Lacroix complemented a Lucas Klünter first half own goal to give them the 2-0 win. As an update, they are now unbeaten in 9 matches, which is the longest unbeaten run currently, with Frankfurt falling off of their 11-match unbeaten run. Stuttgart played out the second 5-1 win of the weekend, as they really doubled down on Schalke with yet another drubbing for Die Knappen. 3-1 at the half, and it could have been a good finish had Nabil Bentaleb converted a penalty for Schalke in the 72nd to bring them within a goal, but it was saved, and Stuttgart added 2 more at the very end of this one. Massive loss for Schalke, and they've sacked yet another manager. They sacked Gross, and they're just looking like a team that is panicking, doing the most to avoid relegation. 1 win, 6 draws, and 16 losses, and now they're moving on to their 5th manager of the season. My God. And RB Leipzig had dug a hole for themselves at home as they faced a stuttering Borussia Mönchengladbach side, and Marco Rosa's boys were actually 2-0 up at the half. However, the disjointedness and the fragile mentality that has become a bit of a virus amongst this Gladbach side reared its ugly head once again. And when you couple that with the strong second half performance from a very determined Leipzig side, it's disaster for Die Fohlen. And Kunku made it 2-1 in the 57th minute from a Sorloth assist. Then Yusuf Poulsen and Olmo linked for the equalizer. And finally in stoppage time, the man who'd been struggling this season in front of goal, Sorloth, scored the winner from an Nkunku assist. Roles reversed from the opener for Leipzig to win the match. Great character, as Brendan Rodgers would say, but definitely applicable here to ensure that Bayern aren't going to get a break as the relentless Leipzig continue. And by the way, let's look at the table. The 2-point lead stands for Bayern Munich, while Wolfsburg take a 3-point lead over Frankfurt. Dortmund are now also just 3 points away from a Champions League place, and hey, they play Bayern Munich next weekend. Great race in Germany. I'll say it over and over again. Great race in Germany. Moise Kean, who just turned 21 yesterday, scored PSG's opener against Dijon on Saturday in what was a routine victory for the defending champions. Love to see Moise Kean thriving there. Dijon, of course, are the worst team in the league by about 9 points. Kylian Mbappe scored his 17th and 18th goals to really start to pull away in the Liga and gold rankings, while a late goal from Danilo Pereira made it 4-0, easy for them. Nice way to bounce back after that 2-0 loss to Monaco last weekend, and to ensure there will be plenty of pressure on Lille, who played later in the weekend. In fact, they may have been feeling said pressure as Lille required an 86th minute equalizer from Joseph Font to keep their unbeaten streak alive against Strasbourg. A very frustrating match for Lille as they perhaps got a sterner test than expected from a Strasbourg side that is just out of reach from the relegation teams, but not exactly flying this season either. They're dead mid-table. Mind you, they're in a good bit of form here as they are undefeated in 3 matches now. AS Monaco made it 2 wins on the trot after beating PSG last weekend as they beat Stade Brestois 2-0 at home, leaving it late. As in the 30th minute, Wissam Ben Yedder failed to put them ahead as he had his penalty saved, denying him of his 14th goal of the season. But a name you may have forgotten about, unless you follow French football, of course, Stevan Jovetic, he scored what was the winner in the 76th minute. That was his 3rd goal of the season, all 3 of which have come in 2021 in the second half of this season. He's actually scored 4 in 2021, one of them being in the cup. In the 90th, Kevin Volland ensured they were in the clear as he converted his opportunity. Both goals were set up by the excellent Alexander Golovin, who now has 6 assists and 4 goals from just 11 appearances this season. What a turnaround from him. Marseille and Lyon, the clash of the Olympiques, was one of the most anticipated matches of the weekend. Perhaps with the state that Marseille are in, it will have been a little less anticipated, but it was hard-fought 1-1 draw for the 2 sides as both goals came in the first half, and despite Lucas Paqueta grabbing a second yellow with just under 30 minutes to play, Lyon held on to the 1-1 draw to ensure they stay within touching distance of both Lille and PSG. Unfortunately for them, they did fall to 3rd behind PSG, while Lille are back to being just 2 points clear at the top. 4 points separate 4th from 1st, while 14 points separate 4th from 5th. So there's definitely a pack that have really pulled away from the rest. But at least it's not just 1 or 2 pulling away, there's 4 of them. Let's wrap things up here in Italy. First off, I made a video about how Romelu Lukaku has changed under Antonio Conte and how he is on track to have one of his best seasons yet. And I got none other than Uncle Sharma to hop on the video with me, so do check that out. And it's especially pertinent now as Inter beat Genoa 3-0, and Lukaku not only scored in the first minute of the match with a great finish on his weaker right foot at the edge of the box, but later showed the other part of his game, which we discussed in the video, that has improved a ton in his passing/combination play, setting up Darmian for the 2nd goal of the game, Alexis Sanchez with the 3rd goal as they march forward. Juve continue to march away from the Scudetto, but I guess some perspective is required as they aren't the Juve of old, and they are a Juve with a novice manager who has only managed as many matches in his career as Juve have played this season. Let's just hope they're patient with him. Because otherwise, what's the point? You know, are they doing a Chelsea? But anyways, Juve's result this weekend was a 1-1 draw with Hellas Verona. Ronaldo getting set up by the best Juve player of the last week or two, Federico Chiesa, and Lazovic set up Barak in the 77th minute for the equalizer. 1-1 there, as I said, I think. Atalanta went away to Sampdoria and came out 2-0 winners thanks to goals from Malinovsky and Gosens, so good for them to bounce back after that disappointing midweek match against Real Madrid, man. That could have been so much better without that red card. Udinese got a win over Fiorentina 1-0 with a Rodrigo de Paul assist. He got it. Those who watched the members only video will love to see it, as the de Paul propaganda will start to flow in thick and fast here on Rabona TV. The man should have far more assists than he actually does, so it's nice to see one of his great setups come off and come out with a goal. Ilya Nestorovsky converting that one in the 86th minute. Late, but they got it. Napoli versus Benevento, aka the Insigne derby, as the brothers Lorenzo and Roberto faced off, the latter only coming on as a second half substitute. Dries Mertens scored the opener as a deflected ball into the box fell to him and he flicked it in with the outside of his boot first time. What a great way for him to make the return to the side, as he had been out for a long time with injury. His first start in the Serie A for exactly a month. He did play against Granada midweek. Later, Insigne played a curling effort to the far post that Politano knew nothing about, but it went in off of his shoulder. He was sort of falling and the defender's half clearance went off of his shoulder and in. 2-0 win for Napoli. And finally, the match of the weekend, Roma hosting AC Milan, and AC Milan came out on top with a 2-1 win. Good character win from them, says Brendan Rodgers, as Roma had an absolutely dominant second half thwarted. Great goal from AC Milan's Ante Rebic, which was the winner in the second half, turning and arrowing a strike low and hard into the corner. Mkhitaryan could have had a penalty, as Theo Hernandez was clumsy as well at one point, knocking Mkhitaryan down. Well, Milan could have also had a penalty all the same for similar reasons at the other end, so I think that this was a just result if we're talking officiating. Roma maybe deserved better based on their performance in the second half, but man, Fikayo Tomori, what a start he's having. Romagnoli could be on the bench for a while. Tomori certainly looks more at it. Inter's lead is still 56 points while Juve have fallen off a bit. Mind you, they still do have a match in hand. Atalanta are right on their heels as well. Roma and Napoli also in the mix. A Napoli side who have negative points, by the way. And that's all, guys. I thank you for joining me once again. This week we'll have more content coming at you from various leagues across the continent as we do. Continent, same thing. You know. I'm Adrian. This is Rabona TV. And have a great week. Take care.